Okay. So for my work this week, so first off, here is my very, very rough site. As you can see, I haven't even finished putting the homepage together yet. Um, but I figured I would just do a video walkthrough of what I accomplished this week and the different pieces that I put together. Since our focus was discussion, I decided to focus on some discussion pieces that I knew I would be doing with my students that I do pretty much every year in some form or another. Uh, these past couple of years are the first that I've really done the same ones back to back because I think I've finally hit um, a groove here where things just seem to be working for a couple of these units. So I haven't had to do a lot of major overhaul, which has been nice. So first off, um, one of the first ones that I put together was in our first unit. I have started this unit off with an essential question, silent discussion. So I always have quite a few essential questions or questions to focus on as we read for each unit. I find that units driven by essential questions um, tend to evoke a much more thoughtful response. For before reading Dear America, or really doing any of our reading, we're going to kick off with a silent discussion, which I like to do a lot because I know that there are students who are really uneasy about speaking out, especially at the beginning of the year. So for this discussion, I have them using Padlet. At this point, I would have already walked them through. I think in my first couple of days, I'm going to have them even depending on when they get their laptops, it might be the first day, they will sign up for their Padlet account and we'll do some practice with Padlet then. So they should have the knowledge of how to use it, how to post. If not, I've also started building a resources tab where I've uploaded my videos and other resources to help them if they need to refer back to it. So I put a little mention here that if you can't remember how to post or you need a refresh on how to respond thoughtfully to a discussion, which we also we would probably be going over it. This would probably be our first official discussion. So we would probably actually go over that right before we did this. But in case someone's absent or whatever, they can access that information. So you'll notice that this is Padlet, and I was able to embed it right in our Google Sites, which is nice because then the kids don't have to go back and forth. It's possible if they're not signed into Padlet that they might have to go over to the Padlet site, which is super simple. They just click on the little outbox here and it'll take them. So what I usually do, especially for Padlet discussions, I always like to give both video instructions and written instructions. If someone is absent, they can watch the video. Because I just made the video, I don't think it's loaded yet. Oh, maybe it is. But yeah, so I just did a quick walkthrough of how to, of what I'm looking for here. And then so students, their first step is to respond to each of the 4 questions with any prior knowledge from experience, reading, shows, movies, etc. They're then directed to go back through each question and respond to 2 other peers for each question. So they'll end up doing 8 responses in total. I ask them to be sure to be thoughtful and move beyond a simple I agree or disagree. And then they're asked to choose one question and kind of synthesize the responses for each into their own, into a longer kind of reflective piece. And the instructions for that will be more, there will be lengthier and more detailed instructions for that on the actual assignment, which I would let them know. But yeah, so they would easily, click the plus sign, write their response, etc., etc. And that's it. It's simple. It gets kids thinking and it gets them focused. So that was the first piece that I threw together. And then I went over and decided to fiddle around with my Great Gatsby anticipation guide discussion. So I mentioned this earlier this week in just the response forum about how I like to do agree, disagree discussions. And at this point in the year, the kids would have already done at least one agree, disagree discussion. So they should know the ropes here. Though I did throw up a video of how to complete it anyway, but I believe by the time they hit this, we will have done at least one prior to this. So complete the anticipation guide assignment found on Google Classroom. So I'll have linked it here. I'll link all of the anything that is a turn-in assignment for Google Classroom will be linked. By reading through each statement and deciding whether you agree or disagree, write a quick one-sentence explanation for each. Be prepared to discuss. So I have a quick video instruction and walk preview of the assignment on the left. I put in the discussion SOPs video, take a minute to review. So this is where I hemmed and hawed. I considered using YoTeach. I liked that idea of having a back channel discussion because the agree, disagree discussions can get really heated. And granted, I'm trying to dissuade students from getting too heated by using the discussion starters and SOPs. But there are still students who feel uncomfortable because there's some pretty controversial statements. So I considered using YoTeach for a back channel discussion so that students who didn't want to speak could put in their opinions in live time there. But then I realized that I could just use Padlet to do that. And I feel like I don't want to, if Padlet can do it and the kids already know how to use Padlet, then I should just use Padlet rather than giving them a whole other piece of technology to learn and to log into. So I ended up going with Padlet, but I'm using it kind of in a different, in a different way here. So they should already know this, but for each statement we review, they're actually going to hopefully, as long as social distancing is, as long as we can do this, students would move to the front of the room if they agree or the back of the room if they disagree. I really try to encourage the kids to not to pick a side, but some students tend to have a really difficult time, and so I tell them that they can stand in the middle, but the rule of thumb is that that they have to speak, and they will likely be one of the first. I will usually start with the kids in the middle. So I asked for opinions on each statement. I kind of open it up. Who wants to speak? Yada, yada. Sometimes I'll ask them, we won't go in order, and be like, hey, which one do you guys want to start off with? And whoever picks that, I usually ask them to speak first, if they would like. You're asked to be respectful of speakers, be attentive listeners, don't cut people off, and kindly disagree. Be sure to review the discussion SOPs above. If you do not wish to speak, you are asked to post your opinions and reactions on our Padlet back chat below. This can be done anonymously, but you will need to send me your responses in a Google Doc, so copy and paste them. I had kids do this in the past where we've done some of these very controversial topics, and I allowed it to be anonymous. But in order for me to give them, because I am grading this discussion, in order for me to give them that credit, I have them just copy and paste their responses and send them to me, so that I know that they contributed. I asked them to take notes while the discussion is going, because they do write a reflective piece after. And this is really actually the first time I've ever specifically given them a space for notes. In the past, I've always told them to keep track or remember, and kids don't. And so I'm giving them the space this time. And if I hear I don't remember what other people said, it's not my problem because I told them to take notes. And then they're going to just end up losing points. But so discussion grading, I decided it would be worth 50 points. So speaking will earn you 15 points each time, as long as it's more than just like I agree, which I would tell them that. But if you speak 4 times, you get a 100. The back chat will earn you 5, 7, or 10 points each time, depending on how you use it. So a 5-point response is you just being like, I definitely agree with so-and-so, or like truth, or whatever the kids are saying these days. I tell them they can only do that 2 times. If anything after 2 times isn't included in the final grade. So if somebody goes through and does that like 20 times, I'm only going to count the first 2 times, and they'll get 10 points if that's all they did. A 7-point response would be either they put in their own explanation of why they agree or disagree with the current statement, or they or they talk about why they agree or disagree with a peer's reasoning. A 10-point discussion furthers the response, so it's they say why they agree or disagree with their peers, and then also bring in additional thoughts and ideas and considerations. So this I also thought would be really great if kids were absent, because Padlet allows you to record videos and things like that. So I figured if students were absent, this was a really great choice for them, because usually I have a hard time figuring out how a student's going to make up that discussion piece. And sometimes I feel like it's unfair if I have told students that they have to speak in a discussion, but then, Johnny was absent, so Johnny doesn't have to do it. It kind of bugs me. So I figured, okay, this actually works out pretty well. So using the Padlet as a back chat, the students can participate in the following ways if they were absent. So they can upload a video note discussing the different statements. I talk about how to upload and record a video in my Intro to Padlet video, so they can go find that if they need to. It's pretty simple, but and so they would receive 15 points for each video. So they could pick 4 of the statements and throw up a video of them talking about why they agree or disagree. And if they did that for 4 of them, they'd get a 100. They could put up a couple of videos and then reply to others in the back chat. This part really kind of depends on how detailed the kids in the back chat get. I did ask them to try to include the kids in class, who they're responding to or which statement they're talking about, so that hopefully students who are absent can see which ones they were talking about. But I also think just uploading the videos are fine as well. And so again, I embedded the Padlet in here, and they can very easily just add a post. And this comes down in a stream, so different than the other setup, which was a shelf layout. This is a stream layout, so it will just continuously go down the stream. And my little forget how to use Padlet or haven't signed up. And we get we tend to have a lot of kids come and go in my school district. So a lot of times I'll have new students mid-year who may not have signed up for this and we just haven't used it yet. And since they've been there. So I always have those kind of friendly reminders of how to do that. So that was my other discussion focused page that I set up. I started building my resources page. So this will be where most of my videos and any other helpful resources will end up. So I put in my intro to Padlet video under technology resources. I put the responding thoughtfully to a discussion video and just a link to the PowerPoint itself, in case the kids don't want to listen to me or hear me speak again, which, I don't blame them. And then I have I'll probably have more. I'm trying to think of more categories, but I put target resources here, and I have my unpacking theme video there. So, and then essay resources as I get to things like that. I always do one for thesis statement and all that. So those will go there. Works cited stuff. But yeah, so, slowly building. I'm hoping to get all my homepage stuff up and running. I started working on my syllabus and stuff to put up there, but so yeah. So those were kind of my two discussion based pieces that I did, and I will put a link to my site if you want to kind of run around it. There's really nothing up yet, but if you wanted to kind of peruse through some of this stuff, I'll put a link. But yeah, so that's that.